Jazakallah khair. One second, Abu Hassan. Jazakallah khair. أبو سام تفضل. وإياكم.
What is the method by which the Hadith scholars study the Hadith with its various asanid, and when they study a Hadith book, what is the method they do that? Is it structured like from the beginning to the end, or do they study one Hadith and all
Clear.
the asanid?
Clear. Jazakallah khairan. So in general, first and foremost, it's a qaida, a maxim, an absolute maxim among the people of hadith, a rule, a slogan that they have, a creed. Al-babu إذا لم تجمع طرقه لم يتبين خطأه. إذا أردت أن يصح لك حديثك فاضرب بعضه ببعض. Is that you must gather and collect. That's principle number one. So if it's one book, several books, one issue, you need to what? Gather. Another slogan of the people of Hadith, the Salaf as-Salih, they would say, إذا سمعت فقمش وإذا حدثت ففتش. إذا سمعت فقمش وإذا حدثت ففتش. They would say, when you're learning and listening, be greedy. Qammish. Take a big, gigantic thing and do what? Grab everything. And when you're teaching and spreading, fafattish, then you need to meticulously what? Sort through everything. So that is supposed to be the mindset of gathering as much data, rather gathering all of the data, and then breaking it down, chopping it up, analyzing it, deciphering it, and then come in, bang. Right, clear on this? So therefore, a hadith can have several different chains of narration, which differ, and a hadith can have several chains of narration which are similar or supportive, corroborating. Everyone understand this? So if a chain of narration, for example, in this book has 4 men, in most cases, the first 2 men can be removed from other, Bukhari Sheikh, Muslim Sheikh, etc. Madarul Isnad, Zuhri. All other chains go back to Zuhri. All other chains go back to Hisham ibn Urwa, as an example. You understand? So therefore, one book, where is this hadith found in Sahih Bukhari? How many places did he mention it? Let me gather everything. Let alone outside of Sahih Bukhari. So therefore, there are different principles in science of hadith. This theory, this mindset is the starting point of it all. Gathering everything before you decipher. Don't come to a conclusion until you've done thorough research and then you put your knowledge into practice. Wallahu ta'ala alam. That's in brief. Wa iyyakum. Fadal.
So when it comes, as you mentioned in class about Heraclius bearing the sins of all of his followers if he did not accept Islam, could that also be translated to the household with the father?
Absolutely. Certain things that he's responsible for or he introduces them to, absolutely. The general rule, once again, وَلَا تَجِرُ وَاجِرَةٌ. All right? وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. You're only responsible for your deeds on your scale. That's the general rule. But if you call to misguidance, promote misguidance, if you allow misguidance under your watch, no doubt. So therefore, my son is smoking weed. I don't smoke weed, but I know he's smoking weed in my house. I don't say anything. I don't do anything. I don't teach him. I don't want. You bear responsibility of that, unfortunately. And anything else that is a part or from your job description as a father or an imam of the household, Your wife not wearing hijab. Your daughter's not wearing hijab. Any other haram stuff that you're allowing and condoning, let alone promoting, or supporting or funding, even worse, huh? I'm paying for my son's weed addiction. It's a problem. It's a problem. Allahu a'lam. Wa yakum. Abu Naila.
So, some people, they might have reverted to Islam, or they weren't practicing Islam. Like their whole family, they came from another country. Allah a'lam. But
Nafis.
if they're trying to, like let's say they're trying to.
We are not condoning the takfir on yourself.
No, it's not me. It's not me.
Not tonight, Nafis. No self-takfir. No self-takfir. Inna Allah yuhibbu tawabin wa yuhibbu mutatahhirin. Ahmed Ibn Bakus. Bacchus. What's the history of that name? That's all it. Allah al-Musta'an. The ancient Roman what? God of wine. Is it lawful to keep that name? Allahu Akbar. There we go. And that's why you're my guy, Ahmed. Anyway, right? Fadl.
So it's been established that a lot of the fuqaha have learned from each other. So when they say that Shafi'i, for example, Shafi'i and his disciples, is like someone like Imam Ahmed included or excluded from that?
Is Imam Ahmed or others, the likes, are they included in the ashab, the disciples? It's a yes and a no answer. Yes and no. The yes part is, if Imam Ahmed studied with Shafi'i, he's his pupil. The no part, it doesn't mean that he is a follower of Shafi'i's theory and his philosophy, his principles, all of them. Obviously, Shafi'i and Ahmed are on the same page, yani, Islam, Sunnah, etc. You get the point I'm trying to make. Let alone the fact that Imam Ahmed, may Allah have mercy upon him, he became totally independent. He was totally independent. So that's the no part, like a family tree, coaches. He's his own head coach now. And even though he was the defensive coordinator, so no, from that aspect, definitely what? Let alone Imam Ahmed, may Allah have mercy upon him, his position concerning opinion and his respect and fear and awe of the athar. Imam Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala was asked about eating the flesh of a frog. Aklu difda. Can you eat a frog? Can you have frog legs? And Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, he told that his student, he said basically not really. You shouldn't eat it. And the man asked him, well, the hadith is da'if concerning the frogs. And Imam Ahmed said the hadith is mentioned. It's mentioned. It's what? Stop there. Even though it's weak, what? So if that was his position concerning the hadith, which was there was some weakness, imagine what he felt about that which was what? So Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, he had different values that all of the ulama had. They all shared the thing, but his value, something, it was a little what? A little different. A little different. And this is one of the reasons why Imam Ahmad's madhab was never considered one of the four. And to this very day, many people don't consider his madhab to be one of the four. He was too raw. He was too hardcore. Too what? Don't even put me in that category. H, don't even what? Fulan, don't even. It's disrespect to even what? Keep me out of that category. Wallahu a'lam. Ghasal, fadal.
How do we deal, answer, and talk to people who won't even accept that there is racism in the community? And when you do try to point something out, they accuse you of having a victim mentality.
Victimhood.
I mean, it happens. Some people do fall to the victim mentality, but
Clear. Well, if you're talking to a Muslim and they're denying the fact that there's racism or prejudice or discrimination, I mean, what does the Quran say? Why does the Quran even establish that? Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The best of you are those who have the most taqwa. Why would Allah say that if there wasn't the problem of people thinking that they're better because of other reasons? So that's just basic common sense. If I say to you guys, the best brother, the best disciple is he who comes to class every day, that would mean that there's already a what? There's a dispute, there's a hierarchy according to some. I'm the best disciple because I knew him the longest. Or I such and such. No, the best one is he who comes to class every day. So therefore, the Quran clearly affirms the fact that there is people thinking that they're superior, tribe, whatever, for the wrong reasons. So that's what I would say, that the Quran, are you different? That's basic logic. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ, and so many different ahadith, he told us about the realities of feudalism and tribalism and the different things that people have. Okay, I mean, where would you like to start? The four things, arba'un fi ummati min amr al-jahiliyati la yatrukunahun. 4 things in my ummah that will never go away. The people will never abandon. Arba'un fi ummati. 4 things in my ummah. The people, my followers, will never leave off. Al-fakhru bil-ahsab wa ta'nu fil-ansab. Taking pride in one's own lineage and poking and pointing what? That's clear as day. That's hadith after hadith after hadith. So it's not about victimhood. Maybe I am a victim, maybe you are a victim, for sure. But the truth is the truth. Whether I have an agenda or ulterior motive or not. Whether I'm worried about it, the haqq is the haqq. And obviously many things in Islam, or many things us as Muslims, we're too ashamed to accept. But it's the haqq though. You gotta accept the truth. It's embarrassing and shameful, but it doesn't mean that it's not the what? Doesn't mean it's not the truth. So you have to empty your cup spiritually. Even if you can't implement it, but you gotta accept the haqq. And who can deny the fact that the Muslims, including myself, starting with myself, we have problems. We do. We have many problems. And there are many basic teachings of Islam that we are not implementing. From that is racism or tribalism, clanism. It's a reality, a sad reality. May Allah help us. Faddal.
Some people will quote that hadith from the Prophet and they try to use that as an excuse to not deal with the problem.
Just justifying it. The Muslim, absolutely. Well, you're right. I agree. People always eat snacks and have crumbs. So don't vacuum the mess your carpet. Right or wrong? Kids will always what? Make a mess. Is this not the case? Kids will be kids. What do you do though? You tell your kid, don't eat on the floor. Don't do this, don't do that. So you're just being a hypocrite. And that is you being afraid of looking in the mirror and accepting it, accepting the ugliness. Keep it real. And there are many things like that. The non-Muslims fighting. Oh, the Muslims are going to be weak. That doesn't mean it's an excuse to allow it. There will always be thieves, but you have your money in a safe in a vault, don't you? In a bank, don't you? So that's just hypocrisy. That's just you you failing to accept the truth. Unfortunately. Wallahu alam. Fadda Abdurrahim. Wa fikum barakallah.
When there's a situation of khilaf, how do we choose, as a layman, the right opinion to accept or to follow?
What does the layman do concerning khilaf? How does the layman choose when there's khilaf, etc.? It's a great question. And the answer has been given by the scholars for years, for generations, decades. There are principles, there are rules, there are boundaries. From them is you asking the person that you believe to be the most learned and the most pious. With the law, I don't know. Behind closed doors, I don't know. But I believe that this brother is pious. And I believe that he's well-versed. So if I have 3 people I can ask, 3 imams, is Mahad, is Habib, and there is salih. Just an example, I said I believe that Mahad is the most pious. He may be a relative of the Prophet ﷺ, so therefore, I want to ask him. And I also believe he's the most well-versed. All three of them are great imams, but I think he's what? His blade is a little, his edge is just a little what? Just a little, the razor is a little more precise. No disrespect to them, I'm going to ask him. That's one principle. Versus me intentionally or just recklessly going and asking anybody when I had the opportunity to ask someone that was clearly better. Number two, the safest view. Following the safest view. You can never lose by following the safest view. So Mahad and Salih, they differ on an issue. Salih is a scholar. He says it's permissible, it's okay, it's not haram. Mahad says no, it is haram, it's a major sin. Salih could be right. I'm going to go with Mahad because it keeps me in safety. A third principle could be looking at a person's speciality. They're both great scholars. However, Salih specializes in Islamic finance. He specializes in Islamic finance. Versus Mahad, he specializes in the qira'at. Doesn't mean that he doesn't know about Islamic finance, he didn't study it, but he specializes in it. Number four is comparing the answers, even for a layperson. And you are responsible for being sincere. You are responsible for using common sense. You are responsible for using the basics of Islam. So every lay Muslim, whether you like it or not, has the responsibility of using some reasoning. Some reasoning. And you can't just say, oh, he's a sheikh, I don't know. La. You have enough common sense to know that fatwa doesn't sound too... He could be right. He is a sheikh, but I don't know about that one. And that goes back to the principle of safety. Everyone understand this? After that, the more that you learn about and you read their proof and their evidence can help you discern. It can help you understand by looking at what they say, look at what they present. Like buying a car, right? I don't know much about cars, but I know the features of this car is a page long versus a paragraph. In most cases, the page of detail of features is going to be, so you have to compare. So there's a level of ijtihad that the lay Muslim has to make. And there's a level of taqleed that a scholar is always going to make. Sometimes you're going to have to take or listen to somebody off of just blind trust. That's a fact. So these are some of the principles and some of the rules. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Some of them. We said what? Some of them. And they're very important, especially in the United States. And Allah knows best. Fadl. John, excuse me. Etc. What's the rule in adding to the shahadatain? Somebody accepts Islam. Do they have to denounce the worship of Christ or the divinity of Christ, etc.? Scholars of the past, they've spoken on this. They talk. This isn't a new thing. Some scholars, they say if the person was a Christian or Catholic, then they must denounce the divinity of Christ upon accepting Islam and acknowledge he's a abduhu wa rasuluhu. Some say this. So it's not a new thing. Me personally, I mean, if they want to be a Muslim in 2026, would they accept Islam believing that God is one of three? In most cases, they already pretty much ready to what? To denounce that. However, for clarity and safety, some ulama have stipulated that. Wallahu ta'ala. But if you open up that door, okay, this person used to be a pagan. So they, in the shahada, they have to, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. That includes him being the last, him being the final, his message being superior. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So it depends on the scenario, I would say. Mukhtar, huh? Wallahu a'lam. Abdurrahim.
So I think this question is related to the book of jihad, not just hadith, I think. The question of bay'ah. bay'ah something that is recommended? Is it allowed?
Clear. Giving bay'ah is obligatory. Wajib. It's fard. There's no doubt about that. Anyone who dies without having his neck, no bay'ah. He dies the death of jahiliyyah. So there's no difference. There should be no different about that, about the ruling of bay'ah. Who do you give the bay'ah to? That's a different discussion. If there is no legitimate Islamic ruler, then that's a different discussion. But asl al-bay'ah, the rule of is wajib. And it's very important for us to look at it as such. What's the ruling on jihad? La. Al-jihad fi aslihi is what? Fard. When, how, the specifics, different story. But the starting point is that that thing is supposed to be what? Fard. And that's a general Islamic obligation, in general. In general. So who you give the bay'ah to, this leader, this imam, this person, this secret master that no one can know about? Remember we were in the UK? He said, my sheikh said that. I said, who's your sheikh? He said, well, you wouldn't know him. You wouldn't know who he is. I said, no problem. Tell me who he is. He said, he can't. I can't reveal him. Allahul Musta'an. Yeah. So, I need different groups giving bay'ah to different people. It depends on who, when, and where. But the asl, for argument's sake, there's a legitimate Islamic ruler, you're supposed to give him bay'ah and give him your oath of allegiance and fealty and obedience. There's no doubt about that. Wallahu ta'ala. Abu Mir.
Sheikh, how 2026, how do we approach going to a janazah for a non-Muslim relative?
A non-Muslim relative, how do you approach it? Go to the janazah, help your family bury your relative, assist them in the burial. You can offer support and solace and condolences for your family, support, emotional support for them, and you represent Islam through your appearance, through your actions. I'm a Muslim, this is what Islam is about. I don't agree with this, I don't believe in this, I don't say this. You represent, and then you keep it moving. Wallahu alam. Khair inshallah. Zach.
For a Muslim that is diagnosed with bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder, and they're not exactly they're not going through psychosis, but we know that with mental conditions such as those, it's significantly easier to do wrong things such as substance abuse, self-harm, even something as disrespecting your parents, for example. So someone that's struggling through this, how exactly do they answer to it?
So if a Muslim is suffering from some type of disturbance or something is off mentally, bipolar, the split personality disorder, etc., they have special rulings based off of how sound their mind is or isn't. And it can even be a ratio. I'm a little, a can short of a 6-pack or a 12-pack. I'm not fully, crazy, but I have I have some issues. Allah knows certain things that happen, certain trauma I've experienced, whatever the case may be. But the problem is me abusing that. If I have one can missing, it doesn't mean that I'm missing a whole pack. It's not an allowance for me to do what I want to do because of one soda missing. And many people, they have this problem. Versus I'm missing the whole 6-pack. I've been declared insane or etc. That's a different story. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He knows. You have to be sincere. You have some problems, you have some issues, you have some things that you need to work on. That's one thing. But if your mind is there half the time, then that's when you're responsible. 75%, that's what you're responsible for. You can clearly, right from wrong, even with this mental issue, you're responsible for that. I'm having a breakout or an attack versus I'm normal now. You're responsible for that. And it's also important to communicate. You let people know, like, look, if you see me doing this, I have what? I have some issues. So please, ahead of time, pardon me. That's not me, for real. Or afterwards. What I said last night or what I did, I was in this state. So it's very important to be clear. But that leads to another problem in our communities. What Sheikh John was mentioning concerning the different taboos that we have. We look down upon people who have these issues. We shun them. We shame them instead of embracing and accepting. And say, alhamdulillah, when you see someone that's been tested with a thing, you should be grateful. But we're taught in our culture to make fun of people who suffer from these mental issues, to laugh at them, to mock them, unfortunately. Wallahu alam. Abu Habib. Wa fikum. What's the ruling on gifting the teacher? Mustahab ya Sheikh. Recommended, yani, maybe obligatory. La shak. Right, Abu Sharif? Al-Muhim, the Prophet ﷺ would accept the hadiyah, right? Kan yaqbalu al-hadiyah. He wouldn't take sadaqah, but he would accept the gift. He was their teacher. So therefore, it's permissible to give your teacher a gift, but just know the line, know the ledge. The gift shouldn't be a bribe. And of course, there's a thin line between gift and bribe. But there is a line. Nonetheless, there's a what? So that's a general rule. You're supposed to be sincere when you give a gift. Okay? Most of us, unfortunately, it's very difficult for us to be sincere when we give gifts. We give gifts to curry favors or to attach strings or to own you. Just look at when the people donate to a masjid, how they behave. Right or wrong, Sheikh? They give money to the masjid, my voice matters. My opinion matters. I have to have a say in what happens in this masjid. That's a mushkila. It's a problem. But at the end of the day, your teacher's your brother. He's still your brother. And your teacher could also be your friend. Your student can be your friend. But my advice would be is to know the line. There's a time in which you're not supposed to make that joke with your teacher. There's a time in which you're supposed to know, okay, it's turn on a serious switch. No laughing, no joking. Did you do the homework, Habib? Did you memorize the hadith? Oh, come on, Sheikh. Come on, Akhi. Nah. This is a serious professional question. Did you do the homework? So there's a time for laughing and joking, being brothers, roasting each other, Abu Ta'id, right? And then there's a time in which is what? Serious business. And obviously those lines can become blurry. They can mean what? Some brothers, they threaten their sheikh, you know what I mean? Do all types of, stuff, harm to their sheikh, you know what I mean? Allahu musta'an. Wallahu a'lam.
And this was A from Windsor, Ontario. Is it the responsibility of a wife to have to continually wake up her husband 3 to 4 times for salah, work, etc.?
Should the wife, or does the wife have to wake up the husband if he's snoring?
3 to 4 times.
She should wake him up for the fard, for sure. If she's up, he's asleep, there's no excuse for her not to wake him up. Inshallah, he's your brother. So try to wake him up for the salat 3 or 4 times, not as a husband, but as a brother. As a brother. Not as a husband, but as a what? Yeah, would I let my brother oversleep and I know he needs to get up and wake up for salat or for work? So if you know I gotta go to work, Sheikh, you let me oversleep. Come on, man. I would look at you what? Some type of what? Some type of way. So I think it's very important in these different discussions to never ever forget that your wife or your husband is still your brother and sister, let alone your friend. Would a brother or sister or friend do that? Now, the person is extremely exhausted. Next question.
YD from Roswell, Georgia. What is the ruling on the definition of the shoulders being visible when wearing an abaya? Specifically, is it obligatory for the head covering khimar to flow down over the shoulders to conceal their shape? Or is it permissible for the khimar to only cover the head and chest, leaving the shoulders defined, though still covered by the abaya?
The shoulders and the chest of the woman should be covered from above, from up top. Whether that is with an overgarment, abaya, or not. So I should not see the contour of the woman's shoulders, her neck, her arms, her chest. So if I'm wearing an abaya, I'm going to make sure that I wear a khimar over the abaya, which is not tucked in. It should not be tucked in. The khimar should drape and fall down over the shoulders and the chest. And the longer and the wider it falls, the better. Does that mean that it is mandatory for a woman's garment to be a burqa or an overhead abaya, one piece from head all the way to the bottom, in which there's a clear major breaking of this area? It goes from here to there like this. That being best, that being safest for sure. But to say that that's mandatory, a condition, and that's the only acceptable hijab, even if I'm wearing an abaya with a big long khimar over top of it, I can't necessarily say that. However, regardless of what you're going to wear, if I'm a sister, I'm not going to wear an abaya and have my khimar tucked in. Even though my shoulders are covered, but the contour of my shoulders and arms are still visible, let alone your chest. So that's a problem, let alone, etc. Wallahu alam.
Initials JM from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. How do I enroll for Medina University? I have nothing holding me back and I am ready to go at the drop of a dime. I just don't know how to apply.
I would say go online. Inshallah, you can apply online. Wallahu alam.
This is AD from Belgium.
China. Fadal. What city? City and state. Next question. Jazakallah khairan.
Saudi portal online.
Grandmaster. Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I come across situations with Muslims, male and female, that are easily triggered by words like slave, obedience, stepchildren. I don't know where this phenomenon started, and I don't know if this was something similar that occurred during the time of the Salaf radiallahu anhu. But if it didn't, how did it start?
Clear. Trauma. People being triggered by certain words such as slave or obedient, etc. Trauma. Trauma, yani. People have trauma. Or brainwash. Society, movies, media. Slave. We automatically hear the word slave and just think the worst. Obedience and submission, we think the worst. It's unfortunate. So therefore, I remember once, this is very interesting, some years ago, I think you was there, Nafis. We had, it was an open discussion we were having. It was me, some Muslim and non-Muslim teenagers, and a Jesuit father from the Catholic Church. Wasn't no interfaith nonsense, but it was, it was a discussion. So they asked me to speak about Islam to the Muslim children and to the non-Muslim children, etc. So I went there, and I spoke about what Islam is not, pillars of Islam, arkan of Iman, etc., etc. And I mentioned to bear witness that Muhammad is his slave and messenger. We are slaves of Allah, slaves of God, so on and so forth. So when it was time for the children to ask a question, it was a teenager, non-Muslim teenager, said, hey, you mentioned slave in Islam, and I'm like, da. So it wasn't my turn to answer the question. It was the father, the Jesuit. He answered the question. And he said, he's not a Muslim now. He had to explain and to break down to the Gen Z teenager what I meant by the word slave from a Catholic perspective. What he means is submission to God, you're being a servant of God, And he was like, oh, I get it now. You get the moral of the story? This is a non-Muslim having to dumb it down to another. Because our society, we have been taught, whether we like it or not, we've been brainwashed to think the worst and to when we hear the word, to associate it with a TV show or a movie or abuse. Be submissive to your husband, backhand. That's how our minds are wired. It's a good thing to be rebellious to your husband, to be independent. You don't need a man to make more money than your husband. I have to ask for permission. I have to do this. What type of 1920s brainwash? So the Sunnah, no doubt about it, the Quran and the Sunnah, a big part of the Quran and the Sunnah is the old school and the old-fashioned values. So when we talk about, the rulings, we have to look at society and culture too. And certain things have been demonized for agenda purposes. So you gotta break it down. Your trauma, sister, it doesn't have nothing to do with Islam. Being submissive to your husband doesn't mean your husband can abuse you and beat you up and run all over you. It doesn't mean that. But the ruling is you are supposed to be. That's the haqq. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Initials AS from Helsingborg, Sweden. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. Where does the beard start and end? Can you physically point it out?
Can you physically point out where the beard starts and ends? We need a bearded brother. Maybe someone as yourself, but with the mustache trim, Nafis. I'm with him, all jokes aside. The beard, the scholars of Islam have told us the following points. Number one, any hair on the chin. Anything on the chin is a part of the beard, including this. So this, all of this is beard. Anything on my chin is what? Beard. Any part of this, whatever's called chin is automatically beard. And any ruling of the beard is going to be included in all hair on the chin. Length, width, etc. Chin. Number two, sha'rul khaddain is the hair of the cheeks, the cheekbones. So anything is on my two cheeks here is a part of the lihya. And the rulings of the lihya will apply. Can I shape up my beard? Can I trim my hair up here? Where does the cheekbone start and end? That is the beard. And last but not least, al-aridain, the jawbone. So chin, cheek, and jaw. That is the lihya in Islam. So let's say from here, a sideburn, all the way on down, connecting to the chin, the cheeks. That excludes the neck, Adam's apple. That excludes the mustache. That excludes one's eye, so on and so forth. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Essay from London, UK. Salam, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah, my wife and I are expecting our first child, a daughter. Is it from the Sunnah to shave the head of a baby girl? My wife would prefer if we didn't.
Alhamdulillah, congratulations. May Allah bless your child. Ameen. Allow you to have many more righteous, healthy Muslim children. If you want to shave the baby girl's head, you can do so, inshallah. Bi'idhnillah. Your wife not wanting to shave the baby girl's head shouldn't be a factor. It's either the sunnah or it's not. What I think, what I fear, oh, it's a girl. What's important is if you shave the girls, their hair is going to grow back. And in many cultures around the world, they systematically shave the hair of a baby girl. Is this not the case? When they grow up, do they suffer from hair loss or alopecia or anything? So there shouldn't be no what? Fear. If she has a shaven head, it's nothing but a matter of time before the hair is going to grow back. You get a little cute cap with the bow for the baby girl. It's no issue. Is it the sunnah to shave the baby girl's head based off of proof and evidence? That's it. Not, oh no, it's a little, we do it or we don't. So therefore, the hadith states, al-ghulam, ghulam, young boy, boy child, mawlud. However, there's a generality in which you can include a baby girl as well. Some scholars say it's exclusive to a boy, some say it's general for both sexes. The safest thing to do would be to shave the head, to be included in the generality. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Beware of, the point of the story is, as a parent, you have to be careful of having fear and anxiety concerning implementing the rulings on your children. That's the moral of the story. Oh, I'm scared, it's such a little boy. Yallah, bismillah. Shave the head, circumcise him. He's a 2-year-old, he's a 4-year-old, make him do this. You can't be too tender and too afraid and too scared, in which you ignore what Allah wants from you because of the tenderness of the child. That's the danger. And once you start making concessions, you keep making concessions. Oh, he's only 2, don't do it yet. Oh, he's only 5, no. Oh, he's only 7, no. And the next thing you know, he's a big, walking, talking, grown loser. That's a reality. That's a reality. He's a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old who doesn't want to do anything, can't do anything because you were too soft and gentle. You're afraid to make him do the things that he was supposed to do when he was 9. Now he's 16, on the sofa, eating, drinking, sleeping, that's it. It's unfortunate. Let's keep it real. Your daughter doesn't want to wear hijab. It's too late now. You were supposed to put your foot down when? Back then. I don't want to wear it. I don't care what you want. You're going to wear it. That's an obligation for you to put it on. You have to put your foot down as a parent. That's the danger of parenthood. So, and I'm speaking from a point of experience, Yani. If you don't have the firmness, then it's going to come a time in which is what? It's too late. Waliyadhu billah. May Allah help us all. Wallahu alam.
And this is Emmy from Leesburg area, Northern Virginia. Mufti, I'm struggling to save enough money for a used car up front, and I'm very skeptical of the American Islamic lenders. Are there any valid halal lenders?
May Allah make it easy for you. Lending money has always been a slippery slope. Always has been, always will be. The Quran gives us guidance concerning lending money. The longest verse in the Quran is about lending money. So, yani, there are always people out there. If you're looking for the truth, someone else is as well. That's the rule. Virtue always finds company. That's a fact. That's a qaida. I'm trying to get married. I want a sister who wears hijab. Da, 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 da. If that's what you're looking for, know for sure it's a hijabi sister out there who's looking for a brother who wants to practice too. So you have to have patience in finding them. You have to make dua. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you take the opportunity if and when it comes. If it doesn't come and you need the car, you fear Allah the best way you know how. You fear Allah the best way that you can. Wallahu alam. Fadal, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
So both of my kids are always eager to lead salah when it's time for salah at home. They're well versed in the Quran, and sometimes it's I don't say no, and I kind of let them lead. Can you tell me what the ruling is for that?
How old are they?
Well, my son Ayan is 9 years old,
Okay,
and my daughter Ariana is 7.
understood. As far as your 9-year-old son, and I would let him lead the salah. Let's say, for example, he could lead the fard. He could lead the obligatory prayer. And even easier and have more room in him leading the recommended prayer. We're going to make our sunnahs together. You be the imam. Labas. We split it, son. I'll lead the fard, you lead the sunnah. That way, you don't even have to get into the thing of telling him no. He gets to be a leader. You stay away from any issues. Is the prayer invalid or not? But for argument's sake, a 9-year-old boy, young man, can lead the fard salah even if he's not in puberty. There's a different discussion, there's khilaf on that issue. Al-Mumayyiz, can he lead the salah or not? But so to be on the safe side, you lead the fard, have him lead the sunnah. As far as your daughter, then inshallah ta'ala, you want to get her in the practice of leading the salah when she prays with her mother or her sisters. Wallahu ta'ala alam. That's a good thing. Allah has blessed you to have children who want to do good. You never hold your children back from wanting to do good, but you offer guidance and boundaries on what's correct and what's incorrect. Most of our children, they grow up not wanting to do good because we stifle their spiritual development. We hold them back. My son wants to be a Quran reciter, but I want to make him be a businessman. It's very sad. Very sad. So if your child wants to do good, you're supposed to push them. You're supposed to push them and encourage them. Clear? Wallahu alam. طيب. تفضل عبد الرحيم.
If we're trying to prevent a person from crossing us, are we allowed to use our feet, our legs?
Like a sutra? Understood. The origin is that should be done with the hands. It should be done with the hands. But for argument's sake, you gotta use your foot. Do not allow لا تدع أحدا يمر بين يديك. Don't allow no one to walk in front of you. The hadith, not hadith. Hadith teaches this. So you stop them however you can. The Prophet ﷺ, when the sheep was about to cross in front of him, his belly touched the wall. He didn't just, it didn't, it don't have to be a thing which is only your hand. Everyone understand it? So, however, for argument's sake, if somebody's trying to pass in front of me, I put up my hand, they run into, hopefully I don't clothesline them, right? They may take more offense than you kicking them. But for argument's sake, I didn't kick you, but I just what? Put out my foot. But be careful of not tripping them as well. Mm-hmm. So the forearm is always safer. It's always what? From them being offended, from them getting tripping, or anything like this. But for argument's sake, stop them from walking in front of you however you can. Wallahu alam.
Well, I see from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How do we advise those that believe the beard is mustahab and not wajib?
How do we advise those who believe that the beard is only recommended and not obligatory? Well, first and foremost, ask them why. Why is it recommended? What makes the beard recommended? Most people say things they don't even understand themselves, blindly following others. Not why is the beard only recommended, just ask them why is it recommended? Ask them that question. Why should a Muslim man have a beard? Well, the Prophet had one. Okay, good. And this and that, the righteous people, they have beards, so on and so forth. That's a step that you can build upon. All right, so what's the ruling on following the Prophet? Obligatory or recommended? As a starting point. Of course, they're going to say we have to follow the Prophet unless it's proven that it is only. So now I say, what's the proof that the beard is only recommended then? If the Prophet had it, if the Prophet told us to have beards, when did he say accept or it's okay? So that's what I would do. See what they say. Obviously, if a man grows a beard and he doesn't have it, he has to shave it. So it's recommended for me to make these additional prayers at night. I have to get up, make wudu, pray. Versus the beard growing naturally and me shaving it. There are two different levels now. Me performing passively or actively. Understand the difference? I'm going to make these additional sunnah things versus this thing comes and then I remove it. So when you remove the hair from your face, what does that make you look like? A male, a female, a boy? Are you clinging on to the non-Muslims, kuffar? So get them to think critically. That's what I would say. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And if they don't agree, tayyib. There's scholars who say that you don't have to have a beard as recommended. If that's what you sincerely believe, tayyib. I can't force you. I can only explain why I'm doing it, but I can't what? I can't force you. I can't abuse you into following what I believe to be the truth. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Fadal.
What is the ruling on the Muslim who grants physical protection for a non-Muslim who is an open, hostile enemy of Islam and the Muslims, similar to what we saw happen in Minnesota?
May Allah protect us from that. I mean, things get complicated and complex, but I mean, somebody who's clearly openly hostile towards Muslims and you're protecting them, helping them, that's a tough bullet to bite. I would pray that I would never be in that situation, that it would never come to that, yani. You have an agreement with this non-Muslim, you have a pact with this country, but they're clearly bloodthirsty, lusting after the blood and flesh of Muslims, and I wouldn't want to stand in front of Allah with that on the Day of Judgment. I'd rather stand in front of Allah with drinking alcohol, zina, stealing, than standing in front of Allah, Ya Rabb, oh Allah, I supported these people in spilling the blood of your servants. That's very difficult to be in. May Allah help us all. Allah musta'an.
AG from Cairo, Egypt. What do you think of the opinions some scholars took that not praying in congregation without an excuse invalidates the prayer?
What do I think about, this will be our last question tonight, inshallah. What do I think about the opinion that states that if you do not pray in jama'ah, if you avoid the jama'ah without a legitimate excuse, your prayer is invalid? That salat al-jama'ah is a shart, a condition of valid prayer. Well, I think that opinion has some strength to it and has some validity to it, some. The general rule, إن النهي يقتضي الفساد. A prohibition demands invalidity. So you're prohibited from imitating the munafiqeen who do not pray in the masjid, who systematically avoid the masjid when they have no excuse or legitimate reason to stay away from it. So therefore, if you're not doing what the Prophet told you, and you're doing what the Prophet told you not to do, that's a prohibition. So it's a big possibility that the thing that you're doing, which is prohibited, can now be turned into being invalid. So the scholars, they differ over this issue, such as talaq al-bid'ah. Does an incorrect divorce count? If a man divorces his wife after he had sexual intercourse with her, if he divorces his wife while she's menstruating, that's impermissible. It's haram. That's incorrect. But is it valid? Does it count? So the scholars who say that the incorrect divorce does count, man amila or man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fahuwa rad. Whoever does a thing which is not in accordance to our way, fahuwa rad. It's mardud. So some scholars, they say, if you do something that's normally valid, but it's based off of a prohibition, then that thing becomes invalid. So therefore, if jama'ah is obligatory, step one, you don't have an excuse to be away from the masjid, step two, some say that your prayer will be invalid based off of the first two steps. So that opinion, even if it's not the most correct opinion or my personal opinion, that opinion has somewhat, has some strength to it. Last but not least, the danger of allowing a thing to be valid, even though you're going against that which is mandatory. It gives people the option. So if I'm told your prayer is invalid unless you pray in the masjid, if you're within the vicinity of the masjid, You hear the adhan to go to the masjid, and you don't pray in the masjid, you have no prayer. What is that going to make me do? Absolutely, I'm going to be scared and afraid of my prayer being. Versus the faqih telling me, you don't, yes, you have to go to the masjid, but if you don't, your prayer is still valid. Oh, okay, cool. It's just nothing more than a sin added to the long list of my other sins that I'm going to get rid of in Ramadan. Right, Habib? My Ramadan resolution. I'm going to stop eating these carbs and the next New Year's. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out. I'm going to such and such. Be honest with yourself. So that's an opinion to be looked at. And it's dangerous, avoiding the masjid without an excuse and without a legitimate reason. And there are many different other things of which the ulama differ concerning mandatory versus shart, condition. If you don't say Bismillah before you make wudu, is your wudu invalid? Or is it valid but you get sin? When you slaughter the animal, you have to say Bismillah. But if you don't say Bismillah, is the slaughtering invalid? Everyone understand the principle? Allah Azza wa Jal surely knows best. We'll stop here tonight. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters. Please don't forget about our programs, inshallah ta'ala. Every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. we have our AA program for associate arts, degree in associate arts with Islamic or International Islamic University of Minnesota. And also Hadith Disciple Academy is open, is public, is functioning. We have several structured courses, and there are several courses on the way to be published, inshallah ta'ala. Visit HadithDiscipleAcademy.com. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you very much for your time, for your attention. This Thursday, bi'idhnillah, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will have our live interactive session for the students and attendees of the academy. Inshallah ta'ala, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you've signed up for the academy and you wish to have your discussion or questions, advice, or criticism, suggestions, personal assessment and evaluation, 8 p.m. inshallah ta'ala Eastern time from the website. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Wa jazakumullahu khairan.